Get me that signal. We need more power.
Well, Little John, it's nice to see you in here again. How you been? Well, what you got there? Ah. Boy, that's me old eye patch, is it? When I had that cataract surgery a few years back, well, that's fine, you can hang on to it. Oh, it makes a nice little hat for you there. There you go. Oh, that looks awesome. I suppose you'd like to hear a story now, would you? Well, just so happens the old captain has one here for you. I call this tale Plugg's Uglies. Now, if you remember, we had lost our ship, the Man's Promise. You wouldn't remember because I hadn't told you yet. We had lost our ship, the Man's Promise, to a duo of villains. Master Scourge is as nasty as they come. He's slippery as an eel, and will poison you before you even know he's there. His boss, Mr. Plugg, was even tougher. Between the two of them, and a most vile crew, they had slipped in and taken our ship right from under our noses. And we were looking to get her back. Well, along with myself, there was Jarell, our former captain. She was in charge of our rented ship, the True Wind, and as angry as a half-elf can be at the loss of her ship, which is pretty angry. Celtial was feeling better. His leg was healing up nicely from the harpoon trap he had encountered in our last adventure, you know. Lyrian was there, along with her pistols, ready to try her luck using her newfound magical tricorn hat. Not this one, though. This one's mine. Finally, Damiel the alchemist was even more desperate to regain the ship than the rest of us. All of his research was on board, and there was little chance that the dregs inhabiting the ship now would think twice about throwing it all overboard. Our only chance was speed. We knew where they were, anchored in a desolate harbour just down the coast, presumably to remove any trace of it ever being our ship. Well, fresh from his destruction of the Brine Brood Queen, Damiel was brewing up something especially nasty for our pirate friends. That he was. Thirsty work there, Little John. We slipped into the harbour, but we saw no sign of our ship. Luck was on our side, though, and Jarell spotted Master Scourge walking down the pier. We gave chase, and yet he escaped. But we were able to close down the harbour to pirates regardless, with the help of the townsfolk who wanted them gone. Celtial went searching on the lonely island, where he spotted one of the henchmen, Argggh Bansian. A fierce battle was fought. Our quartermaster was killed, but Celt killed Argggh and sealed off the lonely island forever. Yes, trying out her newfound luck, Lyrian slipped inside the fog bank and came up behind another henchman called Jaundiced Jape, a half-orc pirate, you know. She tried to surprise him, but he fought back. In the end, though, he lay floating face down in the surf, and the fog bank was dispersed. Within a few minutes, we had cut off half of their escape route and dealt with two of their strongest lackeys. We only hoped that the rest would go as easily. Damiel was in command during the night when we sailed into something off of the Pinnacle Atoll. The ship began taking on water, while the men whispered of a giant water dragon called Hergenzosk. But if he was the cause of our problems, we saw no sign of him. After a few minor repairs, Jarell took us into the fringes of the eye of the never-ending hurricane Abendago, searching to see if our prey was hiding there. Damiel warned her of a deadly spike trap just in time, using a spell of his own. Selt stood and watched as the waters washed our lookout right out to the crow's nest and was swept off into eternity. He forced us to search the sea for several hours before we persuaded him that she was gone for good. I believe he must have had some feelings for her, which is funny because until then I didn't know he had any feelings at all. Lyrian was taking her watch when that same lookout clawed her way over the rail and attacked her. She had been cursed as a zombie, and Leary dealt with her before Selt could come up and see for himself. A black spot slid out of the zombie's hand as Leary flipped its headless body back over the rail. She picked it up for good luck. Damiel, still shaken by the dragon rumors, headed off to Tempest Cay during his shift. A deadlier isle I never saw, with carnivorous, yes, they're very carnivorous, apes, and the evil cult of the eye. Damiel, however, found nothing. Everyone else was still at the fringes, and searched it thoroughly. They killed a vine choker, found some armor, and were getting pretty lax in their searching when suddenly Mr. Plugg appeared, and then disappeared back into the fringes before anyone could react. Mr. Scourge followed close behind him, and despite taking a few bullets from Lyrian, he managed to escape to another location. Back at Tempest Cay, Damiel found Phipps Chumlet having a meal at the Drenchport Inn. He poisoned him, and no one was the wiser. With his death, Tempest Cay was free and closed to the pirates. The rest of us left Mr. Plugg still hiding in the fringes while we went off to seal the pinnacle so that the villains had nowhere left to run. Jarrell dispersed an illusory wall as Selt let a spyglass slip right through his fingers. Lyrian was the lucky one this time and found Master Scourge hiding. With the help of her lucky black spot, she drove him off and sealed the pinnacle off as well. This left 2 villains and 1 location, with nowhere else left for them to run. Damiel was the first off the ship at the fringes, and paid dearly for it, with a grievous wound from Master Scourge, bringing him near to death. Jarrell and Lyrian moved in and finally struck the pirate down. Selt pushed aside the crates behind the fallen body of the master, and there was Mr. Plugg. He begged for mercy before hurling a knife right at the Celt's eye. He deflected it easily and ran Plugg through with his longsword, sending a message to anyone who would think of messing with us in the future. Yes, I said messing. I need another drink, that's what I need. There we go. Messing. We recovered our ship, found a dependable crew, and headed off into the sunset. We knew that this would lead us into a whole new chapter in our adventures. And that's the end of me tale, Little John. I believe it's time for a little shut-eye. Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. Hey.